this is Tony Beers for Toxic Pop News. In this episode, we will be looking at figures revealed at the New York Comic Con 2018. First up, from DC Collectibles is their DC Essentials line. We have Supergirl in her modern costume. It looks good, but as I've said many times before, I prefer the classic costume. Next is Cyborg Superman, and he looks the best of all these DC Essential figures revealed. Next is Wonder Woman in a more modern costume, and again, I prefer her classic look. Next is Cheetah, and she looks pretty good. Personally, I think this line looks good, but I don't collect this larger scale. Next, continuing with DC, is DC Primal Age from Funko. This is a line of 5.5 figures reminiscent of the vintage Masters of the Universe figures from the 80s. This is kind of an offshoot of Funko's Savage World figures, where they have made 5.5 Barbarian style figures based on Thundercats, Mortal Kombat, and even horror icons. This is not the first time DC has made 5.5 Barbarian figures. They did make figures back in the 80s based off of their Warlord comics made by Remco. Taking a look at Batman, he looks great. I love the furry cape, the stitched up cowl, the gold bat logo on his harness, and his sword and shield. Wonder Woman looks great. Her Amazon theme goes perfect with this barbarian world aesthetic. I really like this Green Lantern. I like that he wears his lantern power battery around his neck, and that his weapons are constructs made of translucent plastic. Like Wonder Woman, Aquaman's Atlantean theme goes well with this barbarian style. Joker, on the other hand, wouldn't seem like he would work well with this style, but surprisingly he does. Scarecrow is one that also wouldn't seem to work well with this barbarian style, but they pull it off well. I like his stitched up mouth and his sickle weapon. Mr. Freeze is another one who might not have worked well with this theme since he is associated with science, but he looks like an ice giant right out of Thor. King Shark is another one who works perfectly with this theme. This line also has beasts for the characters to ride. Like the vintage 5.5 figure lines, the beasts are not articulated. First up is Ace the Bat Hound, and Funko did an excellent job of translating him into this style. I love his mask and saddle. Next is the Joker's Lizard. This one doesn't have a name like Ace the Bat Hound. It's just called Joker's Beast. I love the purple color with the green spots. I love the big old smile like the Joker has. His look reminds me a lot of the dewbacks from Star Wars, and I love this throne saddle Joker gets to ride on. It fits so well with Joker's theme. And this line also has a Batcave playset. This is an obvious homage to Castle Grayskull. It has so many of the same elements. It has the ladder, it has the training dummy, it has the throne, it has the jail, and it has a weapons rack. So overall, I kind of like this line. The best part about it for me is that it fits with any vintage 5.5 Barbarian figures. And with Funko doing its Savage World line, these DC characters will fit in with properties such as Thundercats, Mortal Kombat, and horror icons. Also, with Super 7 making new He-Man figures in this vintage style, they will also fit right in. If this line came out when I was a kid, I would love it. Plus, the pricing is decent. One down thing is, where is Superman? How can you have a DC toy line without Superman? They did show concept art with Superman and the Flash, so I assume they will be coming in the next wave. However, it's not really what I'm collecting right now, and I don't need to start a new collection, so this is probably a skip for me. Speaking of Barbarian toy lines, Super 7 showed off two figures based off of the new Netflix She-Ra series. First is She-Ra. I'm not a fan of this style. They make She-Ra look very masculine. Her legs are as big as tree trunks. Also, the figures don't seem to have very much articulation. Catra is next. Again, I'm not a fan of this style. However, they look like well-made figures. The sculpt looks like the characters and the paint looks well done, but overall, they're just not my thing. To continue with this barbarian theme and Super 7 figures, they showed off their new Masters of the Universe Club Grayskull Filmation Ultimates figure. figures. So basically these are reissue figures with some extras. First is He-Man. He's basically the same as the original Filmation He-Man, but they look like they have a little bit better ankle articulation. Also, he comes with a lot of accessories. His power sword, of course, and an axe and a shield. And the coolest accessory, in my opinion, is an alternate head to make him Robot He-Man. I said before how much I like this head with the vintage-style Robot He-Man figure. This looks like it came straight from the animation. Next is Skeletor, and like He-Man, he comes with a lot of accessories. Besides his Havoc staff, he comes with an axe, a sword, the Diamond Ray of Disappearance. These accessories came with previous figures, so if you missed them, here is your chance to get them. He also comes with an alternate head, which honestly doesn't look very different from the regular head. So overall, I have the original release of these figures, so I don't see much of a reason to get them, but the Robot He-Man head looks great, so we will put this in the maybe pile. So that was it for our reaction to DC and He-Man figures revealed at New York Comic Con 2018. Tell us what you thought of these figures in the comments below. We have one more New York Comic Con 2018 video coming up, so stay tuned for that video. I'm Tony Beers, and I'll see you next time.